Hey artists and art lovers, welcome back to another episode. I hope you are fine and doing well. So today I'm going to show you how I drew this hyper-realistic drawing in an easy and step-by-step process. And I'll show you how I create these textures using simple tricks and techniques. So grab your tools and let's get started. So I'm going to use these Derwent's graphic pencils for this drawing. You don't need this specific brand or all these different grades of pencils. Just grab a B, 3B, 5B and 9B and you're good to go. So first of all I'm going to darken this rough outline. And I always draw these rough outlines using grid method or freehand in this specific case. You can find the link of both the reference image and grid reference in the description. So once you are done with the outlining, grab a B pencil and fill the whole outline with a base layer. Basically the main purpose of adding a base layer is just to flatten the rough micro texture of the paper. Even the smoothest paper available in the market will have some kind of roughness on the surface. So you have to add a base layer before adding the darker shade. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab this soft synthetic watercolor brush and blend the base layer. Take your time with the blending process and blend the layer slowly and smoothly, because this will help the upper layer sit nicely on the base layer. Okay, now grab your 3B pencil and fill the upper lip with a darker base layer. The complete real-time tutorial is available on my Patreon profile and the link is in the description. Now fill the lower lip with the similar shade. Also add some extra shade here in these lower corners. Now blend the second layer with the dry brush. Okay, now grab your 5B pencil and add some darker shade in this lower portion of the upper lip. And also add some darker shade in this upper mid portion. Now moving on to the lower lip, and you just have to shade the corners and lower portions in this one. So basically you can shade with two methods here. Either you shade with all the lead in contact with the paper and with a minimum angle between pencil and paper. Or you can shade with the tip of your pencil. In both the cases you have to limit the pressure you are putting on the pencil, or else they will add dark lines instead of shading. The drawback of the first one is that you will always get these dark spots in your shading. And the drawback of the second one is that you have to invest some extra time to shade even a single portion. So it's totally up to you, but I personally prefer the second one, because it's all about realism and quality work. I got tired several times in the shading process and even procrastinated for a few hours. But I think it was worth investing some time considering the end results. Now blending the third layer. Okay, now grab your 5B pencil and start filling these corners with these curved and parallel lines. And make sure you sharpen the lead before starting this process. And also add these dark and prominent lines in between. You can follow the reference image for these lines if you want. So first of all, I'm gonna finish this small portion of the lip to show you the complete process and steps. And then I will move on to the whole lip later. Okay, now using the same 5B pencil, fill this lower portion with these random lines in a little bit zigzag movement. You can practice these lines on an extra paper before adding them in your drawing. And also add a few of these lines in upper portion. Okay, now grab your Tombow Mono Zero razor or any sharp tip razor and add these highlights in between the dark lines. Now grab this white jelly roll pen and fill the portion with these small dotted lines. You can also use a whitener aka correction pen for this purpose. Now grab your dry brush and blend some of the highlights. Actually, I have different sizes of these brushes, so I'm gonna use this smaller one, but you can use whatever size you have, it doesn't matter that much. Just add a slight shade on the upper and lower side of the lip. And don't blend too much or you will mess up the highlights. Plus, make sure the highlights are dry before you start blending. Okay, now grab your 5B pencil and add some shade around some of these dark lines. Now add another layer of highlights by following the same process. Use the mono eraser first and then use the jelly roll pen. Also add some highlights in this upper portion of the lip. Okay, now grab a mechanical pencil or any sharp tip pencil and add some small and tiny lines in between some of these white lines. And here you go. This small left portion of the lip is ready. And I'm gonna repeat a little bit similar process for the remaining portion. So as you know, I always experiment new and simple techniques to develop some shortcuts for my drawing. So here's what I did for the remaining portion. I added these dark and prominent lines by following the reference image. Then I added those random lines in the lower portion. And then I added some darker shades around some of these lines, including those darker and prominent ones. And after adding the shades, I blended them with the smallest brush from my collection. And then I added these highlights using the mono zero razor. The only difference in this right side is that you have to add the highlights on the right side of each dark line and not in the middle. And after the highlights, I added some darker shades in this lower portion using a 9B pencil, because these portions are darker according to the reference image. And in the final stages, I added these sharp dotted lines with my gel pen. And after adding all these rough white lines, I reshaped them, or you can say shaded or removed them from those dark lines using a B pencil. And also added some white lines in this left portion and blended them with a dry brush. And make sure you add these white lines below those dark lines. And as you can see, I'm done with the lower lip. Okay, I have temporarily pasted a paper on the lower lip to prevent it from smudging. And now I'm gonna start putting details in the upper lip. Okay, so first of all, grab your 5B pencil and start adding these dark prominent lines by following the reference image. Okay, now using the same 5B pencil, add these small curved lines along the upper outline. Basically, the overall process is same as the lower lip, but there's a slight difference in these dark lines. So you have to follow these specific steps to get the perfect results. Okay, now join 2 or 3 of these small lines and connect them to the lower ones. Just do it randomly and don't join all of them together. Now I'm gonna darken these lower lines with a 5B pencil. Okay, now it's time to add these random lines, and this process is same as I did for the lower lip, except for this one thing that you have to fill the whole lip with the similar texture and not only the lower portion. Okay, the texture is ready. Let's grab a 9B pencil and add some darker shade in this lower portion of the lines. You can also add some darker shade around a few of these random lines. It will look more realistic. and also add some darker shade in the corners of the upper lip. Again, you can find the real-time tutorial on my Patreon profile, and the link is in the description. Okay, now grab your mono zero eraser and start adding these highlights. The overall process is similar to the lower lip. Just try to add separate highlights inside each of these small sections. Okay, now blend some of these highlights with a dry brush. Now grab your gel pen and add these sharp white highlights in the upper portion. And also in these little sections of the middle portion. Again, the overall process of highlighting is similar to the lower lip. Now grab your B pencil and blend some of these highlights, especially the ones which are on the dark lines. And also add some darker shade in this portion of the upper lip. And there's always room for improvement, so you can correct the highlights or whatever looks odd. Anyways, the upper lip is ready, and now it's time to shade the teeth. So first of all, as always, grab your 9B pencil and add a base layer. Blend the base and grab a 9B pencil to fill this area between teeth and lips. Now grab your 5B pencil and fill these gum segments with a darker shade. Okay, now grab your 3B and fill this first teeth with a darker shade. It's in the corner, so it will be much darker than the others. Moving on to the second one, and you just have to add some darker shade on both the sides and upper portion. The middle and lower portion will remain the same, or lighter than the side. Now grab your mono zero eraser and add these highlights in this right portion. Moving on to the third one, the overall process is same for the remaining teeth, but make sure to invest some extra time in blending the shades, because it's the most important part. And you can also add these light white lines with the mono eraser to make the teeth texture. Or you can just skip this step if you want. I just love experimenting new things. Anyways, 3 of them are ready now, and I will repeat the same process for the remaining 3 teeth. And here you go, your hyper-realistic lips drawing is ready. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please consider supporting me on Patreon for some extra content every week. Or even if you want me to keep making this type of useful content on YouTube. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram for more tips, tricks and BTS content. So thank you so much for watching, keep learning, keep trying, and I will see you on Saturday.